So you can admit them now.
Good morning. You're welcome. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Engineer Peter. Good morning, Van Difan. Hope I'm pronouncing. Is that your name, Van Difan?
Yes, it's Van de Fan.
Van Difan. Are you Nigerian?
Yes,
Oh,
Just
okay.
Benue.
Your
from
name is.
Benue.
You're from Benue. Okay. Your name is Unico.
Yeah, because I am unique as well.
Amazing. That's lovely. Good morning, everyone. You are welcome. Please, for those of you that are here, please drop a message on the group telling your fellow participants to join. And as you join, please kindly turn off your video. Mr. Emmanuel Adesua, I can see your video. I can see your face, sir. Thank you. Mr. Kende, you're welcome. Please turn off your video. Kindly tag your fellow participants in the group to join. Today is going to be very, very packed and insightful. And we already have our amazing facilitator on ground already, Dr. Ife.
Yes. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. So please tag your fellow participants to join. Last week was super amazing from the beginning till the end of the session. And I'm sure we do not want to miss today's one too. Good morning, Engineer Peter. Thank you so much. You're always excited. Thank you. Oluwatimishe, you're welcome. Please turn off your video. All right, it's 11 a.m. Please and please tag your fellow participants in the group. Take a screenshot showing them that you're already in class and they should join also. Oluwatimishe, please kindly turn off your video, please. All right. You're welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Active EMT, FMT participants. You're welcome, welcome, welcome. Nobody is tagging anybody in the group. Oh. I'm checking, nobody is tagging. Just drop a message and tell your fellow participants to join. Thank you, Engineer Peter. I saw your message on the group. Tag them to join, tag them to join. We have to be up to 25 before we start fully. At least 25. Let's join in, let's join in. Let's join in, let's join in. Engineer Peter, thank you for dropping a message on the group. Good morning, Solota. Please hope I'm pronouncing your name well. Oh. It's good to be here again. Exactly. It's good to be here again. Please tag your fellow participants on the group to join. Last week was amazing. Today is going to be super amazing, and you do not want to miss it. You do not want to miss any segment at all. So tag them to join, tag them to join, tag them to join, tag them to join, tag them to join. And as you join in, please turn off your mic and your video. Mr. Adesonya, please turn off your mic and your video. Mr. Olufemi Akonde, please turn off your mic, sir. Thank you. All right. So now I'll be handing over to our facilitator for today. Once again, Dr. Ife, it's so good to have you facilitate today's session. So everyone, we have with us once again Dr. Ife Adeoluwadotun. You're welcome, sir.
All
It's
right,
so
thank
good to
you.
have you here again. Please, let's show appreciation by reacting, please. Please, let's show that we are appreciative people. Please and please use your emojis. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
All right, thank you. Let's make sure we share to our colleagues, companies, friends. You know, our goal is to make sure that we impact as many people as possible. I hope some of you that missed the last class have gone to our YouTube page. That's Ibotech YouTube page to rewatch, because I'll be asking questions, doing reviews. Like I said, I don't have all the knowledge, but I'm only sharing from the bucket of knowledge that I have. One of the things I said that a man that will succeed in life must always learn to fill 5 buckets. And out of that 5 buckets, you must also give out. There's the reason why the Dead Sea is called a Dead Sea, because it only has inflow, it doesn't have outflow. So the greatest impact you can have in life is to always give out. And you can't give what you don't have. Like I had an interaction with one of I think a Lebanese man. We used to have meeting. So we are in the negotiation table. We're discussing about him having some concession about what we have discussed. And he said something I will never forget in my life. He said about you can't give what you don't have. He said, as a human being, you have like 5 liters of blood. And he said, if you give 1, well, you can survive depending on your capacity that you have 5. If you give 2, you are still okay. But when you touch that 3, you can collapse. So he was telling me that day that I'm already touching the 3rd bucket or the 3rd liters of his blood. So, and in this job, they will take from you your mental health, emotional health, strength, a lot to be taken from you. So that's why you need to have a place of refilling, so that when you are giving out, you don't become empty. Just like most of us, once our phone is getting to that 15%, we'll start panicking. I hope we all have that zeal for knowledge. It was my gauge in terms of knowledge and my zeal for success. So welcome once again. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't want to repeat myself. So I'll give a room for 10 more minutes and then we proceed. The first thing we're going to do today, as usual, is I'll play music while we wait for the next 4 minutes. The music is to calm your nerves. And today we are going to listen to this song that says, "What a Wonderful World." And I love that song because one of the emphasis is, I see this, I see that. And based on what he's saying, he concluded that it's a wonderful world. So it doesn't mean that what you see determines your perception about life. And where you stand seeing that thing also determines your perception about life. So it's important that we have a positive attitude to life, to learning, so that we too can say, like Louis Armstrong, what a wonderful world. And apparently this man didn't even write the song. So sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. once you see something and you know it's good for you, you can ride upon that. And so you don't need to, we are not reinventing any wheel. Some of this knowledge are there out there for you guys. Only trying to make sure that we package it in a way that it will be refreshing for you. So let's listen to this song while we wait for our colleague. The target is 25, already almost 30. But if you can get 40, then we can say what a wonderful class. At the end of the day, I want to believe that when you finish this class, you say, oh, what a wonderful industry. Oh, what a wonderful world. And your world starts with how you see yourself. So let's listen to the song.
I see trees of green.
I hope you guys can hear the song. First time that I can hear. The last time a lot of people could not hear the sound. So just give me that message on the chat.
To myself,
and yeah, so I want to be sure.
What a wonderful world.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Slyman, for being the first person to.
I see skies.
You have a gift at the end of the whole module. Thank you, peace.
Clouds of white.
Already a gift already, so I don't need any gift already. All right, it's a wonderful world, it's a wonderful day. As we start
and I
moving
think to myself, what a wonderful.
You guys are also wonderful people joining this class. I was sharing with someone that was the friend I did training for him.
The colors of
and I was asking some things, although he's my friend. But I later showed him that this training I get, I showed him different training by other institutions. 150 or less than a month.
I see friends
He's going to go for 6 weeks, more than half. Great. So you guys, I want maybe cohort 2 might not have that people, don't know. Maybe it will turn to 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So don't miss this opportunity. Yes, we are there, 42. Get to 50. Let's get spread the good news. We are moving closer. Yeah, I can see 42.
And I think to myself,
or say to yourself, what a wonderful world.
What a wonderful world.
Yes, 5 more. Let's beat that record. Wonderful world. So I'm 45.
What a
I have to play it one more time. I don't know what you are saying. I don't know what will be your conclusion after the class. I hope you can have this excitation. So I'll play it one more time. Now start. All right.
I see trees of green.
Trees are green.
I see them blue.
Yes, now.
For me and you.
Said to myself.
And I think to myself.
Yes. Right there.
What I want.
2 more. 48. Yes. But once after this music, we'll do a review of last week.
I see skies of blue.
Of course, the skies are blue.
Clouds of white.
Of course, the white.
Bright blessed days. Dark sacred nights. And I think to myself,
what a wonderful world. Life is easy. You can do this training and play music and enjoy yourself, right?
The colors of the rainbow.
Of course.
So pretty in the skies.
Yes, now we are 52.
Also
you can start, just wait.
Of people going by. I see friends shaking hands.
Friends must shake hands.
How do you
now I'm telling you, how do you do this morning?
They really say
yes.
I love you.
And I say I love you guys.
Babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more.
Me, I'm not saying to little people, but I'm saying to you guys, I want to watch you grow. And I say to myself,
rather, What a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself.
After this, let's also put the emoji of clapping if you really enjoyed
What
it.
a wonderful
And I've set you guys as our plane is already ascending. Put on your seatbelts as we put an end to this. Let me have that energy. All right, guys. What a good way to start the class. Don't worry, after the class, I have Martin Luther King for you guys. And that will always be my advice to you any day, anytime. So start. I want someone to just give us a very brief recap. Don't forget that we're recording this. It means that you have an opportunity of having your face or your voice being heard globally, 10 years, 15 years. So I want just a volunteer in the next 2 minutes to give us a recap, a 2 minutes recap of what we had last module, and then we would commence this class. I will not do the recap. I want someone, I know I could see some faces based on their picture. So I want someone to volunteer. I can't say any ends. Just indicate that you want to volunteer to give us a recap of the last module. Of course, you can go back to listen to those modules on YouTube. Ibotech, just type Ibotech on YouTube. We also put them on House Property so that you also have access to check any of those. So I can't say any end, any volunteer. It's a wonderful day now. Victor. So Victor, just unmute yourself. Introduce yourself. Victor, I saw Victor first. So Victor, you can unmute. Just 3 minutes recap of the whole first module, and then we'll move to second module. Thank you. Can someone help me with Victor? Go ahead.
Okay.
Show us your face if you can. Introduce yourself, and then proceed.
Good morning. My name is Victor Aterezi. I'm from Abuja, Nigeria. Last week was a very interesting class. We had a very interesting class last week. You started with facility management, telling us what facility management is about. And you talked about the 5 pillars of facility management, the 4 people, place, process, and technology. You also talked about the roles of the facility manager, operations, compliance, budget control, people manager, and risk manager, and assets custodian. You also talked about the facility management as a strategic business function. And then we moved on to the core competencies of IFMA, sorry.
Level
Of
IFMA
IFMA.
competence. Yeah. Fine.
Yes. So communications, emergency preparedness, environmental sustainability, finance and business, human factor, leadership and strategy, operations and maintenance, project management, of course, quality, real estate and property, and technology. You also talked about the facility management life cycle, planning and designing, construction and commissioning, operations and maintenance, and disposal and decommissioning. Then you talked about the types of maintenance, reactive, preventive, and predictive. Even though I had a question, but they didn't allow me to ask the question.
Oh, sorry.
Also have 5, talked about the 5 facility management delivery modes. And you also talked about the local realities every facility manager must master. I'm trying to be very fast, diesel and power management, residential estate management, commercial building operations, water and sewage department, smart metering and Internet of Things, HSC and regulatory compliance, and all. Then you went on to tell us the meanings of the various acronyms in facility management, the SLA, the CMMS, the BMS, the TFM, the PPM, HSC, BCP, KPIs, and all. That's just a recap of what we discussed at the last
All right.
class.
Thank you, Victor and Therese. Am I correct?
Very correct.
Thank you very much. That's a very good recap from Victor. Let's clap and encourage Victor with our hands again. It's going to be an active class. Like I said, once you have opportunity to talk, just do that. We are live on YouTube. So once again, we're going to start today on Module 2. Although we said it's major like a foundational class, but you could see that as much as possible, we went above and beyond because we like to take extra sheets. So we did more than that. And I said, if the foundation should be destroyed, what the righteous should do. And once you have a good foundation, it means that you can lay a good structure. And that's why I said, if what you have done is to pay good attention to the first class and you follow through and you understand that 4 pillars, you can derive any model, write any books from that 4 pillars. You can do a lot from that 4 pillars. And then you also understand that level competencies. Like I said, I see a lot of people asking for manual, asking for slide. I said it again, you only get it at the end of the session. You also will get it if it means that you follow through. You see that you have good persuasion. Again, don't be after notes, be after what you know, right? Make sure that you can practice the little you have known. Yes, of course, you have access to all this. I've said that. Not at the end of the session, at the end of the whole module, that's when you can get any slide. The reason is that we want to make sure you go back to the YouTube page to listen. And once you listen and you follow through, the slide is already recorded. So it's as easy as giving you those slides. But my goal is not the slide. My goal is not what I'm saying. My goal is to see you grow. Is to see that you are making impact. Is to see that you are learning. Is to see that days to come, you can refer to this training from Ibotech, powered by Ibotech in partnership with House Properties Limited to say, yes, I got something from these people and I've been able to use that. So as you journey along with me, I'm not just going to teach you about, firstly, I'm going to teach you about life principles, things to do. Last week, we talked about 5 buckets. So as I come in every week, I'll be coming with Chinese parables, principles of life. Today, one of the, like I say now, before you start a meeting, you always have that, what they call that first thing you do at the beginning of the meeting, toolbox talks, right? So today, I want to talk about the acronym called GATE. So every time I come, I'll be talking on different acronyms that will help you. So I'm not just going to teach you about FM. I'm going to teach you also principles about life, things I've heard. I don't know if I've mentioned my story on this platform, but one day, maybe if you wait till 3rd module, I'll tell you my story. How I grew from, how I entered the company as an officer from level 1, and I resigned as the CEO. So I can write a book from entry officer or facility officer to CEO. So I have the right to write it because it's the story of my life. But I'm going to talk about an acronym called GATE. And GATE simply means that greatness achieved through what? Excellence. And what is excellence? We'll come back to that maybe in the next module. But just have that. GATE is an access to a place, to enter a place. So if you want to have access to impact, access to money, to influence, just make sure that you have a touch of excellence. You have something they call the spirit of excellence. Excellence has become your attitude. Excellence has become your habit. Whether anybody's watching you or nobody's watching you, you just have that habit of making sure that whatever you're doing, you are excelling. That's why I call it excellence. Make sure you excel properly, adequately, right? So add a touch of excellence to what you are doing, and then you can have gates open to you. You can have access to people, access to network, access to resources, right? Once you have excellence as your habit. So that's our toolbox talks for today. See you, same platform, next time, can we close the class now? At least we already have our toolbox talk. Can we move ahead? All right. I'm hearing that we should go back to our class. So I would please make sure you drop any comment you have. I can't see everything on the platform, but there are people that are helping me to monitor it, right? We also have just to give a recap, the class rules. Make sure your video is off. Make sure you mute yourself. If you want to ask a question, raise up your hand, type on the platform. Our coordinator is Peace. We have a WhatsApp group. We have a Google Class where we'll drop some of the modules and assignments. I remember the last assignment. I'm not the person that like to jump. I'm not in a haste, right? Is that find out about the history of FM. And I won't go forward until maybe one or two persons would remember that or made an attempt. There's something they call the Berean people. The Berean are people that when you teach them, they go back to find out if everything you've taught them is true. And that's why I asked us to go back to the history of FM. I want to believe that Adiola wants to tell us about the history of FM in a very short 1 minute. And then we'll proceed. Again, I'm doing all this because I don't want to go back, right? Let's take it gradually. We are not in a haste. Nobody's setting deadline. It's a free training. I know you are busy in your office. In fact, I've gotten to the point some people tell me that I'm busy in my office, so do fast. I said, I'm doing free training for you. If you want to join. Some people will even be giving us deadline. It's taking too long. I hear you. Do you want knowledge or you want speed? Right. So Adela, I want to believe that's what you want to do. That's why you're muted. Good morning. A brief history of FM. Adela, are you with us?
Good morning. Actually, that's not what I want to say. I feel.
Okay, so what do you want to say before we proceed?
Can you hear me? Hello? So what do you want to say before we proceed?
Okay, I'm not sure I can hear you.
Well,
But then, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
I
said I wanted to ask how do we submit the assignment, how the assignment should be submitted and everything. So I wanted to find out.
Okay, so please we coordinate that. We have a platform, right, where you can submit. We'll send you an email where you also submit that assignment. Honestly speaking, the Google Classroom was a bit quiet. It was supposed to be coordinated by the class governor. We'll have an email where you send the class assignment. Like I said, those are things, your feedback, your assignment is just to find out. Of course, anybody can use ChatGPT and submit to me, but my interest is not just about submitting, it's about you knowing. And that's why I wanted to use this platform. When you have submitted, I'll ask you, tell me briefly what you have written down. So, but apparently no one has submitted, so let's proceed and assume that we now have 2 assignments from the next class. So let's proceed. Having heard all our stories, today is a long class, but again, just to remind us that one of our affirmation is that I will finish this class. I will journey to the end. And I hope that affirmation is still there for you. Some people have an habit of starting something and not finishing. That's also another dangerous game. Or they say you have good starting, you don't have finishing. That will not be your portion in Jesus' name. So make sure whatever you start, you learn how to finish it. So today, we'll be moving to the place. It has 4 pillars: people, place, process. But today we're looking at the place, which is called the building maintenance system. Again, just to let you know, this training is being powered by Ibotech. Ibotech is an energy company. Part of their service is that they can assist you, or they render metering service, they render energy audits, they render also trainings, which is part of what you are seeing. So Ibotech is an indigenous global company. I'll say that because our mandate is global. And so if you have an issue with your metering, sub-metering, renewable energy, you can reach out to Ibotech. So this training is powered by Ibotech and House Properties. I'm the CEO of House Properties. House Properties is a real estate and facility management company. part of our service is property development, facility management, real estate, consulting, training, which is what I'm doing now, a part of our service. So it's part of a joint partnership with Ibotech. They are our sole partner when it comes to energy-related issues. We revert back to them. Ibotech also have a digital platform to manage your process. That's one of the pillars. So with their softwares, you can do a lot. Visitor management, from what I've heard, you can do your vending, you can do alerts, community management from Ibotech. So this training is powered by Ibotech and House Properties Limited. And they also have another training going on in parallel with this training, which is called energy management training. So in our third module, I'm not going to teach. We're just going to ask you guys to go and watch the videos. And then the CEO of Ibotech will come to just discuss that third module. That's their strength. And then do a recap of what is going on. So instead of having a double training, some of you might have to go and watch the energy training that's going on. Also for like, this is the 8th week. Please, am I correct? We're in the 8th week now. So anything you want to know about energy management, there's a training going on. There's a YouTube you can watch. Just give yourself to it. So I just want to do that before we proceed. The topics we're going to cover today, we're going to look at especially what is building maintenance, what are the systems. We're also going to look briefly on types of maintenance, but our emphasis will be on the PPM. And the next assignment we're going to have will be on that, right, on PPM. And because that's like foundational for you to, if you don't know anything, you must know what is a planned preventive maintenance. If you have a car, you must know that. If you have generator, any asset in your house, you must know what is you must have a planned preventive maintenance. Just for those that missed the last class, I want to introduce myself again. My name is Dr. Ifeoluwadayo Adoluwadoto. I didn't add my middle name. If I've added it, maybe I should be vying for the longest name in Nigeria for Guinness Book of Record. I have RFM, which is Registered Facility Management. I have Masters in Facility Management. I have BSc in Electrical Electronics Engineering. I have OND from Yaba Tech, Industrial Maintenance Engineering. I have a mini MBA from Tekedia Institute. I have a doctorate in FM from Trine Biblical University, United States of America. I'm an alumni of Lagos Business School. I did senior management program. So I'm the CEO of House Properties Limited. I'm also the CEO of House Energy Limited, an energy company again. I have over 12 years leading FM real estate operations. And like I've said again, I'm also a director for finance and admin for AFMPN. AFMPN is Association of Facility Management Practitioners in Nigeria. I want to believe you belong to that. That's the local body recognized for FM practitioners in Nigeria. So if you are practicing FM and you don't belong to AFM, you are missing a lot. You can belong to IFMA. IFMA is international, but our own, right, is AFMPM. And you have all the senior colleagues, the babas, our mentors, all of them are in that association. So I'm also a member of Green Building Council of Nigeria because, right, sustainability is also part of FM. So when it comes to green building, it's something I have a passion for. I'm also a member of ISPON, Institute of Safety Practitioners in Nigeria. If you're practicing safety, you must belong to ISPON. So I'm a member. So that's why I also be the one taking on HSC. I would have invited a colleague to do that, but I can do that. I'm also a member of Asset Management Practitioners globally. I'm also a member of International Associations of Engineers, right? So that's some of my profile. Like we said, this training is powered by Ibotech and House Properties Limited. So reach out to us for energy-related services. Reach out to us for your facility-related services consultants, right? So our objective, like I said, we're going to look at building maintenance foundation. So let's go straight. Now I wanted to do this icebreaker before we start, but the maintenance mirror is just like an iceberg, right? And most of the time when there are issues, as a maintenance, as a facility manager, always have this maintenance mirror. There is something at the surface, but you must look beyond the surface. What is the root cause? So for me, when there are issues, I always ask one question from my colleagues what is the root cause? And I'm going to share a little story about this, knowing what the root cause. One of my clients called us that he's always having issues with his wiring, flickers today, tomorrow not flickers. So we got into that place, did an audit. We discovered two things. One is that the wiring, in fact, the diameters they use for the wiring is kind of lesser than the standard. Right, that's one. So when we saw that, our only recommendation to the client was we're going to do a complete rewiring of the house. Don't want to do any patch. But apart from that, I was asking one simple question for my guys that this man has been using this thing for 4 or 5 months. How come often he's having flickers, having issues, having this and that? Of course, the technician said the only solution is to rewire, which is correct. But what is the root cause of this flicker? If you have been in this building for 8, 9 months, so why will you just rewire? Which what they said is correct, which is, a sustainable solution. So what we did was, okay, before we do any wiring, let's put a automatic switch, a digital changeover to know what is going on. So we installed that. And then after installation, the man still had that flicker. But what that did for us was that the root cause was because of the type of ring system they had in the building, right? Which is causing current to return back to some of the circuits instead of supplying, right? So that is one problem. As I'm talking to you, just with that changeover or digital changeover switch gear or changeover box, we're able to, number one, solve the root cause of the flicker. However, to have a sustainable solution, we have to rewire the whole building. Do you understand? So as a facility manager, for this, is saying tenants is complaining that they're just stuck in a lift. It's not just looking at why are they stuck. It's just one breaker, but you need to find out why is that happening. No, most of the time, they will tell you it's just light. No, it's just this. And then you do a remedy. And that keeps happening until one day they get stuck and you get to social media. One dangerous thing about our service these days that it can easily become a viral, your issue can become viral in any moment by someone just taking a phone and say, I'm stuck in a lift. Like we had one in Banana Island. They were there for 30, 40 minutes. But what do we discover? I discovered that there were recommendations that they should have changed the lift because the life cycle of the lift has expired. And that's one thing I also wanted to know. Sometimes there are failures that are due to usage, and the usage must be that it has used its life cycle. For example, any AC beyond 10 years is going to give you problem. And the problem will not end, right? So that's why you also must understand the life cycle of assets you are managing, right? So you must have that maintenance mirror saying that apart from what I'm seeing on the surface, what is the root cause? And I'm going, maybe later along the way, I'm going to show you how to diagnose a problem using the root cause model, right? You need to ask some questions before you just jump to solving a problem. So once I have a problem, I always ask myself, why? Ask that 5 why. There's a principle called the 5 whys, right? Ask 5 times the why. So it's not just to say why. No, that's not what I meant by asking 5 whys. But it's to make sure that you drill down to the minimum possible problem so that you can have a viable solution, right? So now, what is building maintenance? Like my own approach of teaching is not just because you can have access to this. So building maintenance is just steps or action that you have carried out to make sure that what is there, what is being installed, the equipment in that place, the maintenance, especially now we're talking of place. Don't forget, when we are talking of maintenance, our focus is on assets majorly. But when we are talking of management, it's beyond assets. It's covering both the place, the people, the process, end to end. But maintenance is a bit centered on the place, the asset, the physical attribute, right? And so when we are talking of maintenance, you are talking about technical action, administrative action, to ensure that the asset itself, the equipment, the building, they are safe, they are functional, they are supporting the people to achieve the aim wider in that built environment. Another person is drawing a line. Please, it's part of the rule. Avoid drawing lines. Be careful of how you operate Zoom because you can have so many lines. So we have divided into 3 segments. In your building maintenance, you have technical action, inspection, repairs and replacement, service upgrade. Those are technical action. Those are a bit reactive and some are non-reactive. Inspection is important for you to have a checklist. Now, administrative action can be that tracking the budget, right, for that asset. What are your KPI, asset dashboard, that dashboard for equipment, dashboard for your maintenance, contractor management, right? Those are administrative action. Of course, it might look like they are process inclined. Of course, that's it. They are process inclined attached to ensuring that the equipment are functional. So you check your contractor engagement, the contract. You also check your maintenance scheduling, right? At the end of the day, what you are looking at is operational goal. Your technical action plus administrative action must correspond to an operational goal. For example, occupant safety. Whatever maintenance that you are carrying out must prioritize the safety of those people in that built environment. That's why I said, when you are seeing a building, just imagine yourself that you're a doctor. And that's one thing I've done in this module. It's 43, but we're skipping some when we get to the deep, so we'll drill down. But for now, some I've been mentioning it on the surface, right? So bear with me if I'm speeding some aspect, but like I said, understand what is building maintenance. There are steps and actions that you are carrying out to ensure that the building is functional, is safe, and supporting people to achieve their goals or operation in that built environment. You can look at asset preservation. Recently, I've seen jobs on LinkedIn. You see facility manager 350, 300. But I can tell you, in this FM, there are facility managers that earn 2 million per month. I can tell you, it's not that they say there are facility managers. I'm not talking of CEO. I'm talking of facility managers. So you must build yourself to get to those high-end levels. There are some that are metamorphosized from being a facility manager to be infrastructural manager. That one is like you are both involved. One of our mentors was involved in one of the biggest building, most advanced building in Abuja. The building was launched by the president, one of our mentors, right? It wasn't just a facility manager. He was involved in the planning. He was involved in the project from beginning. He was involved in the place. You can't install this type of window, the project planning. So the advanced level to this facility manager beyond just, is the fan working? No, there are parts where the building life cycle, you are involved. You can involve from stage 1. We mentioned building life cycle. You can be a project and facility manager. That's what we are seeing these days. You're not just a facility, because they are project, of course, part of the competency of a facility manager is project management. So it's not wrong if you eventually have PMP, because that will help you to understand some administrative aspects, which is scheduling, project tracking, KPI, energy efficiency, which is something that is part of our goal, because 80% of your budget will go into energy. Go and find out. Even you in your house, you know how much you spend on energy, on fueling your car, fueling your generator. It's a lot. Some are even much more than your rent. That's what I've discovered. The money I'm even using to fuel my car sometimes, couple, is way above some of our rent, right? So regulatory compliance, you must make sure that you not steal your property because you are compliant to some regulatory compliance. I will mention 3 major that you might find in Nigeria. Lagos Safety Commission, they may come to check in terms of safety. Are people in that place, occupants safe in terms of the operations? You have Lagos State Wastewater Management, they check your sewage. I'm just saying this because I'll be rushing the other part. So, but in terms of those regulatory compliance, your sewage, are you sure you're not discharging your effluent? Effluent is the water that comes from your waste to the environment without being treated, no chlorine. Is your own is just an evacuation method, or you have sewage treatment plant? 80% of property on the island have sewage treatment plant. While on the mainland, it's just evacuation, right? Just evacuate. So one of the things they will try to find out is, are you doing evacuation? If it's yes, are you discharging effluent in the environment? Go and check now. If you are discharging effluent without treatment, or without even knowing the quality of what you are discharging, is a problem. One of my master's program we did about this effluent and issue about. So when they come to my site, they're wondering, where did this guy know all this? I was telling them the TSO, I was telling them some of the, in Nigeria, you need knowledge to pack it. I was telling them some of the nomenclature, some of the words in sewage treatment. I was even telling them the pH level, they were looking at me like, this guy must have had some knowledge, right? So it's important that they don't just come and don't understand. And they are permitted to pay every year. And those are two that majorly might come to your site, like I've mentioned to people. And then if you are doing any structural adjustment, you can have LABSCA. They will come to your building. If you are doing renovation, you don't have permits, you must have permits. So you see a lot of people doing innovation, you don't have that permits. They will come and I say, who are you people? So it's good to understand the laws of the land. All right. We've mentioned some of this. Again, is an integrated approach to operating and maintaining infrastructure to sustain an optimal environment, business continuity, safety and compliance, occupant well-being, right? So at the end of the day, it's just redefining to tell you that, look at these three core issues: the occupant well-being, their comfort, their productivity. That can be under organizational culture, safety and compliance. Checks, are there risk mitigation, business continuity, right? Uptime of the assets, are they helping the business to be functional, right? So these are just the main goal. So the main goal of this training is to look at the components in a building, and we're going to look at some of this. Like I said, as we go into the advanced class, we can now be segmenting some of the key assets. We look at generator, we look at, can I have a checklist for generator? What are the things they need to check often? What are the, that one is drilling down. You can focus on HVAC and look at, are my guys even doing maintenance properly when it comes to servicing of generator? What are the things they need to do? What are the safety measures you need to have for washing of tanks? Some people have never even washed their tank ever. Where I lived, because I'm a facility manager, right? So every 6 months, I wash my tank. And the landlord was like, you've not seen that, because I have a private tank, because everybody had their tank. So, but because I was living on the ground floor, so I was having gravity issues. So I begged the landlord to erect a small structure and have my own tank, so that I will not suffer. So I bought my tank, did everything. And I was treating the water myself. Not that I was very bad, I had a little iron content, so I know how to treat. I had filter. I was literally doing all this by myself. And after every 3 or 6 months, I washed the tank. At the point, my landlord called me that he saw an article on Punch saying that a lot of people that have not washed their tank for over 1 year are going to have a lot of health-related issues, because the water will have so many algae and bacteria. Even though the water is white, that might be responsible for some of their sicknesses, immune system, respiratory issues, that may affect a lot of people, gut issues, a lot of issues from water. They say water is life. The whole earth is 60% water. Human being itself is 70% water. So water is life. So when they say water is life, they know what they are saying. So you need to watch that. We'll look at this component. I did this so that you can have an idea of what I'm trying to say. The structural aspect. as a facility manager, a lot of people don't look at the structures, and I can't blame us because we don't even have budget to look at that, right? But I know we are getting to a point, and I can tell you for free, the Lagos State Safety Commission even have their own checklist for people for high-rise building. They did that. I was in the know when they were doing some of those checklists because we visited the commissioner. I was there. I saw the checklist. But now it's mandatory that your lift must have some certificate in Lagos State. So as you journey with us, I will give you live updates. So if you're managing high-rise, let me know. And let me know if you have a lift. And let me know on the chat section if you have that certificate. And if you don't, you have to go to their website and find out. So that one day, of course, they might not come. They don't have the capacity to go to all the buildings. But they say many days for the thief, one day for the owner. So one day, they might eventually come. For those listening to us in other countries, I'm just using the Nigerian context. Of course, it applies to all other people because we believe that people are also listening to us all over the world. But I'm just using the Nigerian context to kind of drive home the point. I know last week, so when you're talking of maintenance, we always look at this type of maintenance. Last week, we looked at them. Today, we are going to look at them again. There's no building maintenance without talking about the unplanned and the plan. And last week, we looked at the unplanned, which is run to failure. So one of the assignments we'll have is, especially the reactive, what equipment are run to failure that you cannot do PPM, but that equipment must run to failure. Find out some. I want to believe that there are some, maybe due to their location or some when they fail, before you can change them, because some might be that to even remove them. I remember when they wanted to check the seal in my gear, and they said it's going to take 2 days. So those kind of, I'm not saying that's right. That there's some kind of maintenance that you might have to run them to failure. Whereas there are some people that you don't need to run them to failure, but your model is run to failure. This is how you have managed your equipment. It's on to when something bad before you can think about maintenance. And one of the places you see that often is maybe you have a copy. I'm using that. Most people will not maintain their copy or your system. Tell me that you have done any PPM on your system. A lot of people have not done that. Cleaning the board. So I'm just using that to drive. It's on to maybe something happened. Now, have you done any PPM for your phone? I doubt. It's on to when maybe the speaker is not working or the screen. So there are some reactive that run to failure that are not negative. That's the point of driving up. But most of the time, you need to avoid run to failure because the cost is high. Now, so we are divided into unplanned and planned. And in the plan, you have preventive, you have predictive, you have corrective, or what we call proactive, right? So we'll go down. No, I think I jumped the gun. So like I said, we have 43 slides, and we just start to. So after a while, we'll take a break, 5 minutes break, and then we'll continue. That's my approach. So I've mentioned that I just want to go. Now I'm kind of following the right process to maintenance. Reactive. We have said that reactive again is there's no planning. Reactive fall under the unplanned. No planning needed, fix after failure. There are some people that their generator is on when they break down, that they are going to service it, but avoid that because it's costly and risky. Now, corrective, where you plan repair after you've known the fault. Well, it's in between them when you discover that there's a fault, but it's not that it has totally collapsed and quickly repair. So that's like in between both of them. But the one our emphasis today is preventive. You schedule, and we're going to look at 1 or 2 preventive today as we journey, right? So our goal today is to look at this preventive part, to discuss some of the building components. So schedule service before failure. For example, before we start using a computerized system, we have a sheet where we plan all our PPM. And every year we do PPM tracker. Well, we are supposed to have 4 PPM this month. Did we actually do it? So part of our ISO 9001 in my former company was to track PPM. We track it. So you can have a PPM tracker. I can do all this manually, right? Very easy. Have a schedule maintenance. For example, you bought one of the property I was managing. I told the man that your AC, because we just got the contract. When was the last time you serviced? He said, they are new. It's over a year. I said, over a year, and you have not checked anything. I said, no. We need to have a plan. Don't wait for it to have issues. Lo and behold, they had issue with some of those things. By just stopping the gas. The issue is not just to stop the gas, because we're not dealing with the root cause. And just, okay, if that's what you want, right? But make sure you always tell your clients the right thing to do. Part of the maintenance that you need to do this time is that we're in the rainy season. Please, I beg you, go and check all your roof. Don't wait to rain. Once you see that, you plan it towards the rainy season, check all your roof, check the drain duct, check all the, some people say, I will never get to my roof. Why? Because of the height. Try as much as possible. Now, predictive is about using data and sensor. You fix when the data says so, not just because most of our planning. Okay, like when you service AC 3 months, some of them are rule of thumb based on equipment manufacturer specification that service your AC every 3 months. But what happens if you did not even put on that AC more than 5 times in a month? We used to wait for 3 months. That's what predictive does. What happens if they're expecting that, okay, if you put on the AC for 50 hours, that's equivalent to 3 months. That's how we came to that 3-month PPM schedule. But if you're in a place that is very dusty, that your outdoor is dusty and there's a lot of dust, you might not have to wait for 3 months. Right? So that's what predictive would do for you. There's something also called reality centered. You optimize maintenance based on consequence of failure to critical assets. In fact, there's a certification on that. And like I said, when we go deep, we'll touch some of this. But our goal is to look at preventive and reactive. And then we'll look at some of those things. Now, let's look at an approach to have a preventive model, right? You identify the assets. These are like the workflow. And I'm going to use an example right here. I'm not going to waste time. Let's say the asset is generator. Now, let's say that's step 1. Step 2, frequency. Generator is measured by running hours. Majorly, some are 200 hours or 300 hours. So I'm already writing now. It's just I can't write a note. Number 3, assign resources. Now, if you have a vendor, you assign a vendor that will come. Now, 200 hours must not just 200 hours. For example, as at last month, let's say 20th of April, 2026, the running hours was 500, right? As at today, which is 21st of May, that's after a month, the running hours is 650. Can somebody tell me how many hours we have more to service that generator? If I said, I'm following this now, identify asset, generator, frequency, 200 hours. That means every 200 hours we service. So as at last month, the running hours is at 500. As at this month, this morning that we're doing the training, the running hour is at 650 hours. Can somebody unmute and tell me how many hours more to service that gen? I can't see the screen, but I hope this will help me to check. I can't see my screen. I can't see those. So Peter, I want to believe is Peter my friend?
Yes, Peter is your friend.
Yes. He used to fight me a lot, but he's my friend. So Peter, can you go ahead? Peter, how many hours more? Peter, can you unmute yourself? Or please, can you help me to unmute Peter?
Okay. Am I being heard now? Good morning.
Yes, I think I can hear you now.
All right, good morning. The remaining hours to servicing the generator is actually 50 hours.
So thank you, Peter.
All
Thank
right.
you very much. So you can see that we have followed we have kind of assigned that. Sorry, I'm trying to do something. Are you with me, guys? All right, so Chooks, don't worry, Peter has answered. So number 4 is to raise work order. Raise work order means you issue. Let's assume as that today, and don't wait to when it's 50, right? Now we have 50 hours. That means at that point, you need to begin to watch. For example, if you know that every day, the minimum you used to do is 3 hours. No, let's say 5 hours every day. Now, the next question is, what day are you predicting that you're going to service that gen? And somebody assist me. We have 50 more hours. And then you know that you use your gen on an average. Now, rule of thumb, you have done statistics. This bandwidth that we are staying, maybe it's 5 hours or every day, minimum. Now, make a prediction of the day you're expected to service that gen. Today is 21st. Can somebody assist me with that exact date? Somebody was raising up his hand. Can you just do that so that we can know what day we should be expecting? Who is raising up their hands to find out? So I just want to be more practical here. After here, we're going to use a lot of speed to run. But once you get this, we're good. John. Okay. Can someone help me to unmute John? Let's have the exact date. I'm checking my calendar. This time you are predicting, doesn't mean that's the exact day. You are trying to make moves ahead to make sure that if John, can you unmute yourself? Go ahead, John. I'm trying to also check my calendar.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John. So based on the calendar, where today is 21. So the next servicing should be 23.
Should be what?
23. That's the 23rd.
Did you hear my question very well? From what Peter said we have 50 more hours.
Yes.
Right? And yes. I said on average, you use the gen for 5 hours. Can you predict the next day of servicing?
Oh, okay. That should be
very easy.
That's 10 days time.
One, two, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's on the 30th.
31st.
Okay, 10 days.
So you'll be looking at from now to 31st. You should, but again, what can you do to solve that problem? Having an IoT plug, which I said that your running hours, you can get it on your phone, right? Deal with Ibotech, they will give you a system that you can get your running hours on your phone, right? And then you'll be monitoring. And then once you know this one, just what happens if the next day is 10 hours? You will know that 31st is no longer working. Your day would have moved to 27th. Do you understand? Not because you now say, it's 5 hours. What happened if you now use that 50 hours in 5 days? That's what constant monitoring will do. That's what you can do with an IoT device. Ibotech will get you that, right? So that's what you need to do. Now, assign resources is the vendor that's going to come, raise work order. When we say raise work order, there are some people that the way they raise their work order is manual. While for my office, what we do is that we go to the CMS system, we raise request to service generator. We already raise the request that we need to request. The procurement people, they would have done the costing, and then they would have purchased the material. The only thing they'll be waiting for is to send the vendor to say, tomorrow you are going to service this gen. Based on what you have seen, go and service it. Some people don't wait for the 2 hours. Some people, once it's 5 more hours to the end. You understand why some people, they will say, let's manage 3 more hours after, which is much more dangerous. Then you're raising your work order now depend on your systems, whether it's a CMS system, whether it's paper. You issue a work request that goes to your procurement. Procurement will cost, finance will release, your operation manager will sign, and like that. Execute and record. You know, most times once you are done with your servicing, they write next service hour. You can have a sticker, right? All this can also be automated. One thing I like to do is once you automate your system using a CMS system, you go to your report school. There are sometimes they say, I'm not even sure people are servicing this gen. It's not only to bring paper. You go to your system, school report, time, the person that did the servicing, the hours, what they did, evidence. You pull everything from the system and send a PDF report. The person will keep quiet. Then you review. Sometimes they will check the filter. Sometimes I used to tell those that service that not just come change filter, check other things, because people understand that servicing is just change the oil, change the filter, change the air filter, check radiator. It's beyond that. You check battery. You see so many things. There are some things that are supposed to be 300 hours. Check the alternator, check the diesel line, check the cabling, check all the valves. Not just come, just do servicing, run away. After that, the radiator, they not, you start hearing all kinds of things. All right, I'm sure we understand. It's important that we all have asset register. And to also let you know that asset register can fall in 2 categories, right? You can also have, one of my colleagues will help you guys can sort it. You can have all your asset register digitized. That you scan a barcode, you have a system. You know, some will do it manually. Some offices know how to do it manually. They print sticker, they have everything on Excel. Someone can also help you come and do that from beginning to the end. To do all your asset register, make sure it's organized, put a system for you. The one is just to track. Are you guys with me? So if you're a facility manager, there are 2 important documents that will enable you to approve PPM. One is your asset register. I will not talk, maybe when we get to assets, we'll talk about that, but maybe we'll not get to that point. But when you get to asset register, you must have documentation of all your assets. The purchase, the amount, the repairs that have been done on it, the warranty, the life cycle, the brand, and have everything on an Excel sheet. That's what differentiates quacks from professionals. If I get to a site, like one of my colleagues called me recently and said that just got a job, and everybody have the anxiety, to be honest. Even me, I do have the anxiety. And I said, always have a plan. The plan is you cannot manage. We have one principle in FM. You cannot manage what you have not measured, right? You cannot, and it's not possible. And what you have not monitored, you cannot measure. So 3 ways: you monitor, you measure, you manage. That is the 3 M's of successful facility management. You learn to monitor, you learn to measure, and you learn to manage. Without monitoring, without measurement, you cannot manage anything. So I said, that still applies. Do an audit, go around, monitor what is going on, then evaluate based on standard. Then come out with your report of how you want to manage it. All those 3 M's lies in 3 principles. You do inspection, find out what is going on, find out what has been happening, measure it against industry standard. That means when you do an inspection, you write observation, problem, and solution. And then you put a mileage or some benchmark to how you want to measure. Now I'm just giving now I'm just looking at some of the PPM now. Let's assume I'm just giving some kind of schematic of a PPM of a sewage system. Maybe H1, we deep pump. I'm just saying, these are not. So you can do something like this. Q2, we're going to wash tank. Q4, we wash tank again. H1 is for pump, overhaul, and seal replacement. Pump over. So every 6 months, you carry out this. Do you understand? So if you look at the PPM, you can say quarterly washing and treating of storage tank. Biannual, total pump overhaul and seal replacement. Now, some you can sit down with it by hours. This is some you can just say quarterly. But most of our site then, we wash tank every 6 months. Doesn't matter what is going on, we must wash our tank. Any site we're managing. When I was in FEMO, we must wash tank. The one that is very scarce, people don't do is, which is run to failure now, is most times the seal. But we now have a system to say once it's 6 months, go and change it. Whether as long as you are on that pump every day. Because the seal will not alert you that is going to fail today. Are you guys with me? So it's not going to let you know. So this is an example. Now, corrective, I have mentioned that is that storing faulty component to original state. Defect, identifying, maybe you're doing PPM, you discover a defect, you isolate it, you correct it. Replacing defective chiller in a commercial facility without causing emergency downtime. That's possible. But like I said, our emphasis today is just on preventive. Now let's look at predictive. I'm just touching that. Now, this meter, which is called a thermal infrared meter, we have that in my pocket. What that does for us is two things. We used to check if there are issues in what we call what they call this thing now. Somebody asked me what they call this breaker, what they call it. This DB, your DB, right? So your distribution box, that's what I was looking for. If you use a thermal image camera, you can know which breaker will have issue. The one that is already showing unnecessary hits at that location you scan it. We also use this thermal camera to scan buildings to know if they are leaking. There are some leakages that they will be there accumulating. They will be there one day, they'll just surface. One of the things that I've not seen that before, but there was one of the buildings that they renovated. So you know this pit latrine toilet was there before. You know what the building manager did? They just covered it. They didn't remove it because they didn't want to go down. They just use slab to cover it. And now put normal toilet, right? The flushing one. But you know what happened is that water now finds its way to that pit latrine some way, somehow. So after a while, water has accumulated. We just saw that, like in 4 months, started seeing that it looks like the place was down, even when we blocked, the place was off. So instead of breaking everywhere, we used our scanner. We now discovered that there was no pipe there. We now had accumulation of water in that place with that thermal camera. So sometimes you can use this to predict that there's a problem here, and the problem is going to cost you and I a lot of issues, right? So it's important that we look at that vibration analysis, IoT sensors. Now, this IoT sensor is where I'll come. You can monitor your diesel, monitor your power. I've talked about using technology. Maybe when we get there, we'll talk more about it. It's not the time. You can use some switch that you say that this is the maximum energy that you want this device to consume after trip off. You can do that. Now let's begin to look at some of the systems we're going to discuss briefly. And I think we should be rounding up after 15 minutes. I'll take a break after this, then we'll now go into those components. Electrical system, we'll look at some electrical system. On the electrical system, you have generator servicing, either monthly or hourly. Like I said, you have your panel switch gear inspection, cable testing, earthing checks. People don't do that. UPS maintenance, those are just HVAC, filter replacement, refrigerant, coil checks, duct cleaning, thermostat. Those are some of HVAC. These are some systems, right, in that building services. Plumbing and water, leak detection and pipe inspection, pump and borehole maintenance. Some people don't even service their borehole. So In fact, there are some that please just leave it on to failure because of how they install it. If you make any attempt to remove that ball, you might never have good quality water. That's because they didn't do the right thing from the beginning. Ball maintenance. I used to service our ball once every year. Water treatment and quality test. There's some sites that you need to test water every month. But what we do is that we have a pH tester and they check it every month. And because someone challenges us, say, well, how are we sure you guys have quality water? Report it. These are the pH at this certain period. All right. Drainage maintenance is important. Let's look at fire safety. We're still going to drill down a bit, like I said, as we go further. Alarm testing. In fact, what we do is that we visual check our extinguisher every 2 weeks. We go around check. Extinguisher servicing is 6 months. So we'll do their own annually. Sprinkler and pressure test. Emergency lighting checks. That's under fire safety. Elevators. If you have monthly safety inspection, cable and brake testing. So I'm just showing you some of the systems and things you can do. The ones I think we need to now pay more attention, which I don't think we've discussed a lot, is the issue of structural and civil, right? Roof inspection, crack monitoring and waterproofing, floor and pavement checks. All these things sound strange. External works maintenance, right? When I was small, there are some people they used to call wole, right? So now this building, we'll look at some of that. This now going further. So maybe after, let me check. I want to make sure I get to the 20th page and then we'll take a 5 minutes break. That 5 minutes break is engagement. You want to ask a question, take a little breather and we'll go. So let's move to the next one. When I was small, there are people they call them wole. And that's why you see a lot of rubbish that they are building now. Wole are people that, wole means people that check houses. When I was small, they wear, I think, white and brown something. You just randomly to check houses, buildings, to see if they are doing the right thing. They will just come. Is this place neat? They will check. Do you have good drainage? They will just come and do their report and go. I don't know why they kill that industry. That is an industry that a lot of facility managers would have played in and would have, thrive and succeed in. Okay, let's look at, again, like I used to say that always imagine the building like a body. So when you're talking of structural and civil, we're talking of the skeleton. The whole structure of your body is by the skeleton, right? So when you're talking of structural and civil, let's look at the skeleton parts, the part that are giving strength, support to the framework. So foundation, check column, check beam, regular crack monitoring. There was a school that collapsed. Thank God none of the students died. And we have all that. Building will collapse like that. Roof. Lagos rain is relentless. Always check your gutter. Some say recoat your membrane every 3 to 5 years. There's this recoating we used to do, this black, I'm trying to remember the name, that they do on roofs, on roofing system. Some people don't know that after 2 years, just have to do another one. And customers say it's very expensive, but you should know that it will not last more than that. Floors, quarterly FM walkthrough. You understand? Check your floors. This one, check acoustic. If you notice that a particular tile is sounding different from other places, know that it's already losing the adhesive that was used or the cement that was used to make sure that it stick to the floor, right? Check your ceilings, right? Road car parks. Some of these things have to, especially when we are getting to that rainy season, some of them have to happen because you need to check by yourself. Of course, you might not have 100%, but make sure that you check and observe. When you see any crack, raise alarm. Is the building communicating to you? Painting. People don't paint until when there's problem. Painting should be done often because that gives a good ROI to that building. So in terms of structure, you look at civil and structural. You look at foundations, columns, beams, slabs. Are there cracks? You look at roof. You look at the external walls, the facade, the road, the car parks, the gate, fences and perimeter. You check that. That's important. That's part of the civil service. Now, elevators, right? What would I call this in your body now? Maybe let's say your nerves, let's say your blood vessel system. I don't know, but these are some of the PPM you can do for escalators and elevators. Check your ropes, check your brake system. I've mentioned that. Control panels, door operators, check the pits. There was one that had issues. You know that some of these pits, if they are not well sealed, when rain falls, it enters into the pit, thereby affecting some of the rope, corrosion, especially that water or that area is a bit closer to the ocean, right? And before you know, you now start hearing some cracks. And that's why those that closer to Lekki or closer to the ocean need to be careful and watchful of the effect of that place to any metallic object. I know one of my friends had one of their buildings close to, I think in Oniro, close to the Atlantic Ocean, right? Most of their stuff, you see rust easily. So they need to do a lot of coating and coating. Do you understand? They must be careful because once the wind comes from the ocean, comes with some of its own problem. So if you observe that your water is very bad, iron content is high, know that you are going to have issue with your faucet easily. All the corrosion, you have a lot of corrosion when it deals with pipe. That's a lot of people now begin to use a bit of plastic, maybe to reduce the effect of that iron content, right? But that's where we get to drainage. Now let's look at water plumbing. Like I said, cold water supply is normal. Hot water supply, you might see that in hotels. You hardly see that except maybe in the overseas, right? Now let's look at borehole. Now we're looking at the water plumbing and drainage system. That's what we're looking at. Borehole, you look at your borehole, overhead underground tanks. We wash our own tanks. I've mentioned that. The storage tanks, the one that is very hard to wash is that somebody have the underground tank under the ground. So I wonder how they don't want to evacuate the water and they use towels to be slippery, right? Pressure pumps, check your valves, water quality, I've mentioned pH level. Just have that tester. That's the least you can do. And once in a month, test your water, go to lab, right? I will not look at the hot water system, like I said, maybe in an hotel. The drainage and sewage system, check very well, right? To ensure that your drainage system and your sewage system doesn't have any kind of blockage, your soakaways, check them very well, your pipes. So for the plumbing, water plumbing, is just to look at what is carrying water and what is storing water, and even the wastewater, right? But when we get to sustainability, you can see that there are ways you can reuse some of your wastewater and use it for gardening. You can do that. In Israel, they treat the water from the ocean, desalination, is what they use for. Some people, they reuse the water. I think there's one green building, heritage building in Ikoyi. They don't waste their water. The rainwater, they use it. The water from their sewage, they treat it and use it for gardening. So I'll call the plumbing system a digestive tract, the managing the fluid flow. I'm just using this to like mirror your body. So there's not much explanation there. So I'll take a pause before we now begin to fire down. At this point, we are kind of rounding up, right? But I'll take a pause rather, to listen to our feedback. And I think we are at the point of closing. Let's take a break. We can still take our music. We're going to take a 5 minutes break. By 1, we should be out of here. All things being equal. Like I said, all these parts we can go deep when we get to the advanced class. We'll take our time to use the extinguisher. We're not in a rush. When you get to advanced class, we'll test class A, class B, class C. So I'll take a pause for 3 minutes. By 12:25, we'll be back. So let's hear your feedback. The hands are raised. Any questions? Stand up, stretch up. Normally says after 1 hour, you stand up. Stretch your legs, stretch your body. So by 12:25, we'll continue. But I'm here with you. I'll just want to stand up a bit and then take feedback. 12:25, we're back. So if you have any question, any feedback in the last 1 hour, I would like to hear from you. Don't worry if you can't see me, but I can hear you. Wow. So nobody's asking any question. So we can end the class. So we still have 2 more minutes. I can't see any ends. Any question? So that by that time we get to the end of the class, you don't have to rush. Let me check the message board. Good day. Oh, you guys can't see the slide? Oh, I didn't know. Someone said we can't see the slide. Okay, we can see. Thank you. How do we service borehole? So the way you service borehole is get your vendor. What they do most times is they will bring out. Okay, so I'll allow Giuliano to unmute. So someone said the door is small. Wow, I didn't know. Oh, okay, I might increase, make it to full screen.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I was laughing at the way you pronounce my name.
Okay, sorry. Confidence is better.
Yeah, so you talked about water treatment. I just wanted to say, can you maybe talk a bit about that? Or if not talking a bit about it now, maybe you can subsequent time add it as a topic of discussion.
Can you be specific on what you want me to discuss? Don't forget, this is just a foundational class, so we can't go deep in all that. If I'm going to talk about water treatment class, it's like a whole day, to be honest with you. If I'm going to talk on any of these systems, it's a whole day, right? So, but we just want to mention them. It's a foundational class, so it's not like we're going to drill down, because we will not even these 2 hours is not sufficient. This class is supposed to be an hour. We're already 1 hour, 30 minutes. So, and we still have slides. And I don't want to give you something that is not substantial. I want to give you something that when you listen to this, you can still work on it later. Okay. I hope that is clear. But if I know what you want me to mention, I can discuss that now within our 2-3 minutes. Okay. Confidence, I hope I'm okay. Someone said I can't unmute. Victor, can you unmute and then Van de Van? Can someone help me to unmute Victor?
Okay.
And then Van de Van? Go ahead, Victor.
Okay. So, my question, you talked about failure due to usage. Is there failure due to non-usage? Like a particular component has not been used or a particular machine has not been used for a long time? Are we bound to have failure due to non-usage?
Yeah, that's correct. That's a very good question. For example, mechanical systems are meant to be active, right? I'll put that. And I think you are correct. Failure can do due to non-usage. I would like to use a car, for example. If you park your car for long, because the mechanical, there are a lot of mechanical system there. Let me use that word.
Yes.
Because you have a lot of mechanical system, if oil is not passing through some of these systems, or they're not having that friction, and the oil has dried up because they're not using it, or you park it in a place that they have winter, and as a result, everywhere as the temperature has changed, but it has frozen. Of course, because of the design, you can have failure due to not not to usage. Do you understand? For example, you park a bicycle that has a spike, that has that, what do they call it? That chain in an environment that is close to the ocean, like I mentioned to you. And because you park it there, rust will happen to it because you're not using it, you're not protecting it. Yeah, so it's just there. There's no way you want to use it, especially it happens majorly for mechanical system, majorly most times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Second question is when you were talking about some of these devices, I thought maybe in your slide you will help us, or some of us who have not seen them will actually see how they look like. You talked about the pH tester. There was another equipment, the thermo. There was one equipment again you talked about
I showed you now,
pages back.
infrared camera.
Yeah, some of these things, if we can have a pictorial view in the slide so that we can know exactly what it is, what it's
Well,
about.
just Google it.
Then the
Just
assets register too.
Just Google
So that we
it.
can
You
see
see.
how it's like. Okay. So that's
No,
just a
just
question
Google
I
it.
have.
Okay, that's a good question, right? What makes this trend is note what you want to learn and go back to learn it, right? You understand? That's what makes it interesting. Even doing for the 3 slide, you know, FM is broad. And what I want you guys to know that we can't cover in everything. This is just a free training to kind of touch the basis. And we want to emphasize that is to touch the basis. We're not going deep down because we might be here for the next 3 months. And all of us, we are working. We are like you are working in your office. Also, I have staffs, I have things to attend to. Right? It's a big sacrifice to do 6 weeks, right? Very big sacrifice. So please bear with us while we touch this base. But when we have those advanced class, we might have time where you can give your 2-month physical class. You can look at that. We can do site inspection, right? You can even tell us to come to your site. If anybody has any site to volunteer, which is something I would love us to do. If anybody has site that we can do site tour, we'll write to you. And then some of the students that are ready, that would be a good way to round up. Peace. Let's work towards that. If anybody has any site that we can come for site visits so that we can touch some of these things that I have mentioned. And then we'll just be taking 20, max 20, not do more than 20, right? You will cater for your transport and meet up with the time and the rules, right? We're not doing more than 20. And then it will be good to have that knowledge in that class. Francis, someone said the font is small. Sorry, I don't know how to do that now. I'll make it bigger. Maybe we can. How do we get access to this training module? Just go on YouTube. You have access to it. You can always watch it. Listen to much what I say. Anything you can't get from me, just Google it. In fact, if you go to ChatGPT, it has that ability to create free image. Just a create image of how water treatment plant works. Simple. I can do that for you guys and share. So there's a lot of things you can do on your own, right? About the treatment plant, what quantity of chlorine is advisable at adequate for 10,000 liters in Lekki as is? My answer to you, Emmanuel, is that when they design that system, there must be SOP, standard of operation. There must be specifications. You know, whoever installed those treatment plants, we have specifications to say this is ppm. What they call that ppm, so something per minute, or I can't remember. That you put, like the dosage is in ppm that you put for every liter. So if you have 10,000 liters, and again, you have what is called dosing machine. Dosing machine is where that is automated. For it to just be putting it in certain quantity, you set it. So with dosing machine, Francis is not Francis now. What's his name? Emmanuel. Sorry, guys, I'm using this time to answer questions so that I don't wait. So I think I've answered that. I have a question. It appears that the responsibility of a facility manager also doubles as HSC manager, especially because I'm missing this question. Especially when you mention regulatory compliance. If you check our first class, we mentioned that as a facility manager, the safety of the people is important to you. Now, yes, you work, there are some sites that you have a specific HSE manager, and that HSE manager reports to you. But in a general context, and when you manage some residential properties, the budget will not accommodate for another. You have office safety manager that now guides you on some things to do. That's what we do in my company. We have safety manager, we have quality manager, and that person kind of train the facility manager, guide them on some safety measures on site. Malik Embassy, how do we get access to this module? Go back to YouTube. Thank you, Caroline. Redundant failure occurs in movable machines. That's correct. I think we answered that. DG, that's the last question. Building management system and facility management automation. They are quite similar, right? Building management system, automation. So when people talk about automation, automation is without you. It's thinking on its own based on some set parameters. Automation is still under the system. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. So building management system, there's something they call BMS. It's more of like you will see it when we get there's a part when we talk about BMS. But automation is when you're using AI, you're using some metrics, and those metrics without your input will react. Do you understand? That's automation. Automation can be that on the light when it's 6 o'clock or when it's dark. So without you, once it's 6 o'clock to come in, once it's dark to come in. If it happens that it is dark in the morning, it will come in. Come on, rather, not come in. Will come on, right? That's automation. But there's no automation without having a system. I hope I'm clear. Any other question before we continue? Like I said, I'm just pointing to these systems. With HSE for facility, we have another module on safety. So we have time to discuss safety for facility manager. That's cost on its own, but I think we have a module. And I think what I would do, that might be our next module instead of the diesel management before STN comes in. So next week, Thursday, I will check my schedule. It should be a public holiday. And if you guys are okay for us to have it, it's fine. If not, we'll also have public holiday. So might have HSE. Then after our next module, I will allow SCN to take the energy part, the diesel part. That's their core. I can take it, but let him take it because they'll be running 8 weeks. So again, like I said, like somebody want to compress 12 weeks for you in 1 hour. So you might still need to go to their YouTube page where they have all the 8 weeks of training. I'm also learning from that training. I've learned so much, even though I have an electrical background, but I'm learning so much that I didn't even learn in school, right? Even right on why I didn't learn on field, because that's their own specialty. Let me see whether I can increase the view. I heard a lot of people saying that it is small. My system is, I can enlarge my system. I can use my hand. Let me do view. Let me do free mode. So I hope it's better now because I'm doing free mode. I'm gonna have to use and okay. Now, okay. So now I will move on. Now we're talking of fire system. Okay. We're talking of fire system. We're talking about okay, let's just look at what's the next one. I'll take this first. Someone was asking me about you have to learn HSE. So for example, let's look at mandatory HSE protocols and we'll go back. So I'll take this before I take that. Safety is not a procedure. It is a culture. It must be your culture. You know, one of the quiz we had last week was what is the most important thing for a facility manager? We mentioned safety. Mandatory HSE protocols. You need permit to work for high risks. For example, I'll give you life of this permit to work. You know, one of my former sites, right? They had issue with their diesel tank. They have a lot of leakages. And because of that, diesel will be complete today, will not be complete tomorrow. So what they did was they evacuated the tank. Between you and I, they evacuated the tank. They poured whether they poured Omo or something. But you know what? They didn't get the permit to work from the HSC manager. So they used their own discretion. Discretion can kill you. And they called a welder to come and weld that point. Unknowingly for them, hot air has trapped inside the tank, even though they've evacuated. Hot air has what? Trapped. And if you know the component of fire, when we get to HSC, you know that fire needs fuel. You need oxygen. Those two are big components of fire. So air has been trapped inside. And then the weather started. Immediately the weather just started that work. What happened immediately was an explosion. You will not believe that the technician that was not even the one doing the work, because of that explosion threw him from the building to the out of the fence, so through the guy to the main gate. In fact, that day I'm talking to you, fire service had to visit that site because they thought, we've evacuated the diesel and we poured Omo, without understanding the physics behind it. That water has been. You need to check and ask your safety manager, can we proceed? Because they call those kind of jobs hot work. Anything that involves welding is hot work. You are welding something in a building near diesel. Get permit. The only thing was that thank God that they didn't lose their life. They had so many injuries and at the end of the after investigation, it was confirmed that the facility manager did not get the permit to work. Let's look at confined spaces. You want to wash your tank, get permit to work. The permit to work are systems, protocols that guides that job. Maybe when we are doing HSC, I'll show you sample of permit to work. Are you getting? Log out or tag out. You de-energize equipment without maintenance. This log out and tag out can be in some panels. There are some high voltage panels that if you don't de-energize, my brother, you don't go to meet Baba God early. PPM compliance is important. When you are using the ladder, use your helmet. When you are doing electrical job, wear your gloves. You are working where there's water and electricity, avoid that. Risk assessment. That's what they would have done. Before you get permit to work, they do some level of risk assessment. Contractor safety management. What we even do is when they are doing this hot work, they will come to our office. We will enlighten them. How do you want to do this work? What are the safety measures? What are the risks? The submit report. Risk management process. Identify. List all hazard. When we get to just risk difference between hazard and risk. They are two different things. Hazard is likelihood times severity. We'll see all that when we get to that. Control, eliminate, substitute. These are control measures when there are risks or there are hazard. Some might be that you just eliminate, some might be substitute, some might be you apply some engineering process, some might be that you just do PP. Then you review, that's monitor. Document all near misses. One thing we are going to discuss when we get to HSC is unsafe acts and unsafe acts and unsafe what they call that now. I'll find out. We're going to talk about unsafe acts. We're going to talk about that. Now let's go to the other one. Now we're going to talk. Every facility manager must understand the classes of fire. I'm also going to give you an example of this. It's not all fire that you pour water. Like you see when there are issues. A car is burning. You just pour water. I think it's the diesel part. Water cannot do it. That's why I say, Nigerians say, almost see, pour Omo. Because sometimes that's what you need, right? Sometimes you need CO2. So you must understand the kind of extinguishers. It's supposed to have extinguishers, and when there are issues, they cannot work. I'm telling you between you and I, and they will not work. There was an issue in one of the sites like that. The generator was having issues. But I wish they had dry powder. And they were using CO2. It did not work. Because they were pointing, it's not sufficient. You would have extinguisher. It's not good extinguisher. that work for all fires. Those are things that we learn in the fire safety system. As a facility manager, fire safety is not a cost. It is the price of keeping people alive in the building you manage. That's the price. You must make sure. So let's look at the components of fire safety. You have fire alarm. Some of them you can test manually, but find a certified contractor. Smoke detectors, you clean it. Replace every 10 years. Who is that person? Sprinklers system. Extinguishers. We have fire doors. There are some doors that is good for fire, right? Emergency lighting. That's also important. Check your staircase. Are there emergency lighting there? Exit door. If you have issues with those lights come up, or when there are fire issues, all the lights will go off. That's why I can also not jump those systems. Now, electrical system. The electrical system is like your circulatory system. These are just, I'll go back. This is just the distribution system from the grid to your house. You know, we have Disco, Transco, and Genco. Power is being generated, transmitted through a wire, and Disco. This is EKDC. That's why I call it Ikeja Distribution Company. EKDC, Eco Distribution Company, Abuja Distribution Company. Those one you call NEPA, their own is just to distribute, right? So you get a light from your transformer, you step it down, you have a 3-phase, and like that. So some of the electrical systems you deal with, your power distribution, your panel, right? These are power systems. Your low voltage system, your generator, your ATS, your UPS, we talk of issues that you can deal with as a Nigerian. Voltage spikes, phase imbalance. That phase imbalance is a problem. Some of you don't know that once the phase is not balanced, your motor will burn out easily. The Nigerian context, you can have fuel theft, meter issues, and so on and so on. So cable installation testing, air testing, circuit breaker, fuse testing. There's so many testing you can do anyway, right? But in the electrical systems, those are the wiring systems. That has to do with power in your building. You must have understanding. That's why as a facility manager, you're not doing everything, but you have someone that is in charge. Now let's move straight to the HVAC system. This is where I'm just talking about. Sometimes they call the HVAC system the respiratory system, right? Operative air temperature, you're checking two major things. Let's leave it there. You said that the air temperature should be around 19 to 23 to have a comfort zone. That's the comfort zone. 19 to 23 degrees is acceptable. Humidity level, 40 to 70% to prevent respiratory discomfort. There are also meters to check, there are meters to check air quality in a built environment. So for the AC, it depends on what type of AC HVAC you're using for thermal comfort, air quality. Some people are using chillers, some people are using air handling units, some people are using split systems, some people are using VRF. VRF is variable refrigerant flow. The ones that you have, VRF is you might have one outdoor for like 5 indoors. That's VRF system. Some VRF system comes in K-set units. Not all K-set is chill out, but they will have K-set at the ceiling, right? Those type of units, sometimes you have air handling units. If you have big high-rise building, you have chiller system, and every chiller sometimes you need air handling unit. Air handling unit is to ensure that fresh air comes into the system. One thing I tell people that not all AC enhances fresh or good air quality. You can have thermal comfort, but what happens to the air quality? So that's why it's important that, when you are driving in your car, you will see one arrow that shows that you want to use the air inside. And you see, once you off it, you're using the air outside. That's why sometimes when you are driving, you put on your AC and you can smell the external environment. That means you're using the air outside, it's circulating inside. You can off it. So the same way for AC system, there's a way, especially using chiller system, that fresh air can come into the system, because most of the time, 80% of the HVAC units are just recycling the air inside. And that does not mean that you have good air quality. So if you're using an AC, sometimes allow fresh air. What I do in my house is sometimes when I'm not around, I open the window for fresh air to come in once in a while, just to purify the air. But if you're in a dusty place, you cannot open it. You are living in a place that it is mud from beginning to the end. The more you open, the more you're in trouble. So that's it, which is tantamount to respiratory system. But we're just looking at the system generally. Security system, your CCTV, ensure it's working, cameras, your DVR, card readers, biometric. That's what maybe you are using. There's some building now, they use smart locks. So those are another intruder alarm system. Maybe you have electric fence and some other sensors. So, but you must make sure that your security system and access control system is top notch. Let's look at other systems like landscape, pool amenities, external lighting. So we're just looking at systems that you can have in a building. So now this is how some PPM looks like. So I'll just kind of switch a bit now. I'll just switch to let you look how some dashboard look like. Now, pause now. Having discussed some of those systems, let's assume that I just create a schedule for generator. This is how some PPM looks like for someone that was asking. And these are the tools that you may need to create this system: asset register, maintenance calendar, and so on and so on. Generator, what they need to do monthly. Who is responsible in-house? AC unit, what are the tax? Fire, tax, frequency, responsible. That thing I showed you the other time should have been in that slide. Elevator, monthly. So this is how a normal PPM of a commercial building, a sample. Now, what is your KPI, key performance indicator, right? Is that you want to make sure that you have 90% completion rate for your PPM. There's something called mean time between failures, mean time between repairs. There's some facility management calculations, facility condition index. When we get into some of those metrics, we'll discuss them. Maintenance cost per square meter, there's something like that. What is the reactive versus preventive ratio? You must have that too. What is the work order closure time? These are some KPIs that you measure as you walk along. Now let's look at digital system. Okay, let me start with this. What is a building management system? Somebody asked before we got to this. It's a computer-based system that remotely monitors. Like I said, you can't have automation without BMS. That's what I said. So a computer-based system that remotely monitors and automatically controls your building HVAC, electrical, fire, access control, and some of them. And the way BMS works is that you have a sensor connected to that device, and that sensor can send a report, or you can monitor that report of that sensor on a dashboard or a software. That software is now the BMS, right? For HVAC, auto temperature and all those things, you can do it by zone. Maybe the people up there, they are from Canada, they like 16. You can set first floor 16, last floor 18. Power monitoring, you can say once this load reaches certain, give me an alert. Automatic fire triggers, vent opening, monthly energy reports. These are some of the things you can get in the BMS system. Some of them, some CMS system, which is a normal computerized maintenance software, have been enabled to work like a BMS system by integrating sensors. Like I said, some of IoT plus iBootech software can also work as a BMS system if you use those sensors. So these are some of the sensors. There's temperature sensors, there's occupancy sensors, there are leak detection sensors, there are liquid sensors. You can use to measure your water, you can use to measure your diesel. You also have smart soft FM. So the technology part, which is enhancing you to manage some of these things remotely. That's what your BMS is. There's something also called computer-aided
facility management. But in Nigeria, what you see is CMMS, that's computerized maintenance management system. In that one, see the difference between that one and this one is that that one is just based on assets, work order, PPM, all those things I mentioned to you. You can just do everything, some of them on a single software. Inventory control without using paperwork. That's what your CMS system will do for you. Now, I've mentioned that just mirroring that your BMS or your CMS can also be synonymous to your nervous system, right? What is sending signal, information of assets? That's what your BMS. So your nervous system is where electrical pulses get to every part. I don't know if you have seen the skeletal system of, the framework of your own nerve system. All the signals, in fact, when you have spinal cord injury, most of the time it's because the nerves there. The bone is working now. Sometimes the bone are active. Once the nerves cannot send signal to the bone up to there, it is gone. Even though the bone structure is there. I've not seen, maybe some people, most of them that you say they have leg issue, the bone is there. But what happens is the nerves are dead to send signal. So now the final part we'll discuss before we end the class is just the sustainability aspect, right? You cannot, FM has gotten to the place that we cannot talk FM without talking about sustainability. Sustainability is just simply talking about the impact of your services on the environment. That's all, right? And that's why we talk about solar integration, smart lighting. You see that most offices, you will not see any fluorescent because the gas in that fluorescent is said to be harmful to the environment. Some of your AC are not using R22. In fact, they've abolished R22. In most European countries, it's only in Nigeria you will see R22. Smart energy meters. I know there was a time that I can't, whether it was when we were doing ISO 9001. There are some ISO that you are doing that you also have. ISO is International Standard Organization. You have 9001. You have the one for environment. So that one for environment, I know on the site I was managing, they wanted to check the sound level of the generator. They also want to check the exhaust. I've forgotten what they call that thing. The level of the carbon going into the environment before they issue the ISO 14001, I think so. So that's company that was managing their building, right? So that's why you need to monitor your energy to ensure that what you are doing drive cost savings, compliance, and also enhance the asset value, right? One thing that you want to hear green in Nigeria, one of the things you see most times is recycling. Do you guys segregate your waste? You know, there was a time that we had some programs with some recycling company, and then we separate our waste. And the money the credit we get from them, we use it to reduce the cost of our waste management. Are you getting what I'm saying? Because the quantity that, in fact, they are giving us credit, they're paying us for some of the recycling objects that we got from our site. So we had bin for recycling. So one thing you can do to start your green journey is to start with recycling on your site, encourage it. And then there are so many companies that come to take those things for free and give you credit or give you access to, you can claim a credit at the end of the month that reduces your waste. There are so many companies like that in Nigeria, which I can tell you that I've tried, so I'm not talking from story. So those are what Green FM is about. Any system that will not harm the environment, help you to save costs, right? Like for example now, when it comes to green, or like I said, I'm a member of Green Building Council in Nigeria, there are 3 things they will check. They will check the usage of your water. Are you saving water? They will check the usage of your air quality in that environment. They also check the impact of your energy. For example, when you're owning your gen, there's a lot of carbon
you're adding to the greenhouse effect. They will check some of your liquid that you're using for cleaning. They'll check your gas that you're using for your AC. So they focus more on energy and water and waste. How much of waste are you contributing from that facility? Those are what Green FM is basically about. So this part, how do I set my question? So what I will do for this part is it's just question and answering. I will just set the question. I'll stop to share, and then I'll put the question on the platform, and then somebody can respond. Again, for the case study, maybe let's look at the case study. We'll come back. Let's look at one case study. Okay, let's look at one case study, then we'll come back. Hold on, guys. Okay, one of the case studies says that you are a newly appointed facility manager of Pangrove Gardens, a 120-unit residential estate in Lekki, Phase 2, Lagos. The estate has been poorly maintained for 2 years. It has 3 generators, borehole, water treatment plant, 2 security gates, CCTV, landscaping, swimming pool, gym, and 4 blocks of lifts. Now, what are the steps of how to manage this place? So these are the steps. You come up with a PPM for all the critical assets. You come up with a checklist, a detailed checklist for the generator and one asset of your choice. We'll say that. I can quickly do that here, but we'll send it to you. A step-by-step procedure for one emergency scenario. Let's say generator failure during an event of fire alarm. Number 4, maintenance budget estimate. A simply monthly budget for the estate that includes these 5 cost lines: labor, parts, diesel, contractor, contingency, then justify your figure. Now, with all the things we have said there, you should be able, some of you are like, what have we learned that we are doing all these jam questions? But you should be able to look at that. One of the ways you will learn, like I said, is not that we will spoon feed you. Take this question, go and do research, and then you will learn by that personal research. These are questions that they set for people in interview. I'm telling you because I've done that for years. The reason is when I say this question for you, it's not whether you're right or wrong. It's to see how you reason. It's to see how whether you have managed, what happens. How does your mind work? And as a facility manager, if you're managing a site currently, you should be able to take these four cardinal points I've mentioned: PPM schedule, maintenance checklist, emergency response procedure, and maintenance budget. You should be able to have an idea of these 4 if you're managing property. Are you with me? The other ones that you see is that, okay, let's look at this. Monthly schedule. We have talked about, look at generator, just look at borehole. Let's take those 2. Generator, replace air filter, oil filter, replace oil. Tax every 200 hours. Responsible, in-house technician. Cost per month. Service, let's assume of the gen is 200 kV. You need to ask question, what's the kV of the gen? A 60 kVA should go around 100K, one of the gen. So per month is 300K. Preventive maintenance checklist for generator and one other. Let's say generator. Checklist, check battery level every day. Check battery level. Check the pressure. Check temperature. Every day you record that of those 3 parameters. Okay, generator. That's good. What again can we do? So those are checklists, minimum checklist. Check temperature, check battery, and check oil pressure. Check that in the morning, check that in the night. Check diesel level. I'll put that. You also need to check diesel level. Check generator run hours. Those are
The reason is that if you check that the number of hours, check load. Emergency preparedness for one scenario, generator failure. Number one, if there is generator failure, one thing is to find out, do you have a backup? You have 3 generators. Is it the 3 you're using, or two is for number one is for backup? One thing we always advise site is always have a backup gen. Don't always have one gen. And if you have one gen, make sure you have contact of those that rent gen that can be there in the next 1 hour or 2 hours. Other alternative is have the number of the distribution company. Call them and say you have emergency. Can you have light? And you pay for it. Sometimes it works. So you must have a plan. When there's fire, have you done fire drill before? So make sure you do fire drill in such building that have 120 units. Every quarter, fire drill. Once there's fire, everybody take the back staircase, straight. Make sure there's nobody in the building. Find out the number of people in the building. Assemble at muster point. And then next thing is, if it's something you can stop on your own, make sure every flat has their own extinguisher close to them, right? And if they're not something that you cannot respond to, make sure you have the next fire service company. Now, maintenance budgets. I'm trying to analyze this. Maintenance budget is that generator servicing month is 300K. Don't forget 100K per one. Security personnel, they are 5. 50,000 per person, that's 250. That's we are 550 now. Diesel, we supply 100 liters. Diesel is 2,000. That's 200,000. Contractor, people that check CCTV, landscape, they are contractors. People that contingencies, that emergency repairs, 600K contingency every month. Justify the figures. Do an Excel. Very good. I hope I'm making sense, though. I'm not hearing anybody. So I hope I'm making sense. Another scenario is that you're a new appointed FM. You are called in after 8 months of neglect. I just hope I'm making sense, but I can't hear you guys. The building has frequent generator failures, 6 hours. 3 of 4 AC units broken. DSTV satellites blocking rooftop drainage. This is a lot. So you classify, you find the root cause, 30 days plan, do your KPI. So this is why I told someone that said just got a job. Always find out root cause of your issues, set a 30-day plan of those issues, then set KPIs of what you want to achieve. Now, I'll pause here and I would ask my lady has put the answers. Anyway, whichever one, I'm going to read the answers so that we don't waste time. What is the primary objective of Plan PPM? Is to be B, replace all assets, prevent equipment. Answer is C, prevent all equipment before it occurs. A building AC breaks down unexpectedly. What maintenance type does it represent? Reactive. You just break down, it's a reactive. Hot water in a building must be stored. I'm not sure we touched that. 65. There was a part, but we didn't touch it. Which maintenance tools detect overheated electrical panels before occurs? Thermal cameras. I mentioned that. Which fire extinguisher class cover electrical? Class C, dry powder. What does CAFM stand for? Computer Aided Facility Management. Number 7, which documents serve as master inventory of all assets? Asset register. A major maintenance challenge specific to Nigerian built environment. What maintenance culture? What maintenance strategy uses real-time sensor data, IoT system to decide when to perform maintenance? D, predictive. Facility managers' main role in the building is to B, support organization goals to a safe, functional built environment. Yes, B. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to pause now and take questions. 5 more minutes for questions, and then we're going to play our last music. No, this is not a music. This is just so preventive comes first. All right. Just 2 ends. Then I'll play my last video, which I promised to play. I promised to play one more video. Every time you come here, you not only learn about FM. So I'm going to play Martin Luther King sharing his blueprint for excellence. Don't forget that the acronym we had today was GATE, Greatness Achieved Through Excellence. So it's not, I have a dream speech, don't worry. It's a speech on blueprint for excellence. So can we have 1 or 2 questions before I play a blueprint for excellence? I will call it a day. It's been an amazing time here. You can always have this lecture going to the YouTube. We have recorded this section. Every part is recorded, so you can always take your time. All right, no questions. I'm not seeing any hands being raised. I feel I'm okay, and everyone is satisfied. We'll continue this journey. If you have any questions, please just raise up your hand. I would respond. If we don't have any question, I'll play my last video, and then you guys, I'll hand over to our coordinator. So this video is called Blueprint for Excellence.
There is a question.
Fun in your life.
All right, there's a question. What's the question? Go ahead, I'll pause. What's the question?
So Mr. John is asking that how can a facility manager convince the homeowner to pay the developmental levy?
The homeowner. Okay, so developmental level, is it not developmental level? I'm not sure I got your question right, but because mental level has to be, maybe there's some level of agreement when they bought the home from the developer that they pay money that goes into OPEX. So you need to drive home your point. It's really hard managing residential. Some people are just funny. You need to come up with a strategy that will make the person to pay. Either you had the money. That's why I say engage Ibotech. Let me tell you one of the best ways to ensure people pay money. Make sure that their payment is not directly to you. It's attached to their vending online. When they cannot vend, they will pay your money. Don't deal with tenants in the way that pay me. Once there's nothing that, for example, most of the site, don't collect service charge. Put their service charge on their vending system. If they don't pay, they cannot vend. And when you cannot vend, you know that it's problem. There's no discussion between you. It's not me, it's my office. So all your payment is on this platform. If you cannot pay, like NEPA, if you're owing NEPA now, maybe they install new meter and owing NEPA, they'll put minimum vending amount. There's nobody who want to fight. Pay or you don't vend. No story. So engage Ibotech and digitize your payment structure digitally. No discussion. Do you understand? That's one thing we have discovered. Even when you have the best strategy, somebody will still fight. But once they know that, once you are owing, and they know they are owing, and they cannot vend, they will come back. Do you understand? So homeowners should pay, because it should know that, in fact, if it's a tenant, I will not even argue, but an homeowner should pay. So I want to believe that the development level is for the OPEX or capital, they call them capital budget, capital project. You need to put a case. And then one of the ways to manage an estate, make sure you have ESCOs, and let the ESCO be the one to drive it. They have estate ESCOs, especially big estate. Let them have their own structure. Let them be the one, have somebody you can win over. Let that person be the one to preach the gospel to FM. I don't know. So that's any more question?
Okay, so there's a question from Mr. Damlola, but I think it's also related to what Mr. John asked. It said, how does a facility manager charge for his consultation and service?
To be honest, it depends on what your agreement is. There's no, for example, if you guys call me, I will charge you for consultation. Say, sir, come help us to put a process. I'll look the number of hours, the number of days. I'll charge you based on my own capacity now. You understand? Charge and service. The way you charge for your service, it depends on the service they're asking you to do, and depends on what they are ready to pay for. Some people want GS4, they pay for it. Some people want Proton, they pay for it. One thing I also tell people is that once you know what you are doing, Nigerians will pay for anything. Every day, people are paying for Addison Blue. The same people are still complaining to pay for hotel. Nigerians will not pay for something when they don't see that the person they are paying to is somebody that has the edge or a knowledge. The FM industry is very difficult. I can tell you for free. I can tell you, but in the same FM industry, we have categories of people. Do you understand? Once they know you deliver value, some people pay. And then it's not all customer that is your customer. I used to tell you, not everybody is your customer. There are some jobs, once I see it, I don't go. Many estate, they will call me. As I enter the estate, the first question is, why did you send the informer? And once they say it's because of money, it's because of this, because of that, I'll first check, is this the guy's fault? If it's the guy's fault, but if it's that they don't want to pay and they want, it's like you have money for Toyota and you're asking for Ford, cannot work. That kind of place, I will not even take it. I will not, because you will get more problem for yourself. So I've made up my mind, not all customer is a customer. I've had someone that asked me that, we'll pay for a consultation. I said, why did you send the guy away? You send the FM away and you want to manage yourself, and now you're calling everybody, how do they manage it? The guy left because you're not listening to him. So it means that even me, you don't listen to me. And that's what they did. After giving them all they wanted, and that's okay, let's come to a place of play money. They switched off. They will still have problem. Because this job, problem no they finish. All right, any question?
There is no other question. Oh, there's a question from Solota. Please, I hope I'm pronouncing your name well. So it said that, Dr. Ife, please, how does an FM handle an accountant that is always being eddy over payments, procurement, permits, compliance certificates, utilities, and spending generally? So how does an FM do an accountant that is always being eddy over payments?
Okay, because this is recorded, I'll give you another method. Document all the things you asked the person. Document it. The other method, but I will not say it online. Document what you're asking the person to say. And if they do not pay any consequence, they should bear it. You know what I'm saying? And it should go to that person. Make sure you document your conversation, giving case study, the implication, the consequence of what they are doing. Because accountant will not release money. It's not today. I get what I'm saying? And has been from accountant and money, they're like this sometimes. Again, and that's why you need to have training. Some of these people don't understand. People see FM as cost centers, and we need to change it from our own. That's why you need to develop knowledge. Knowledge, they say, is power. If you know what you are saying, you prove your point. I've gone to a place, they refused to pay, and when the consequence was down, nobody could blame it. The records are there. The records are there. Nobody will blame the FM again. Of course, everything will still come down to the FM most of the time, but at the end of the day, the ball will stop. Sir, we need to make this payment. Because we don't make this payment, this is what will happen. Client will complain. This is X and Y. And they know. And if it happens, you go to somebody that's superior to the accountant and complain. The accountant should not be your last bus stop. That's my opinion. Thank you. Should have a line manager. Any question?
So, Mr. Deji, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Mr. Deji Aborishade.
I think I've answered this question, but let him go ahead.
You can speak, Mr. Deji.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can move on, sir.
All right. So this is the blueprint for excellence. Maybe next time we'll talk about being diligent, but every time you come here, you will learn. You have with 2 bus stops, and then always end with something good that you take home.
Life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Secondly, you must have the determination to achieve excellence. And so I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil when you discover what you're going to be in life. Set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. Finally, in your life's blueprint must be commitment, the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. And so our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Learn, baby, learn so that we can earn, baby, earn. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Thank you, guys.
Number one in your life's blueprint.
Keep moving. So I hand over to our coordinator from here. I hope you guys were able to hear the music. So I'm handing over to her as I sign off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ife. Like I said, every session with you is always super amazing. Thank you for that impactful session. Thank you for the music that was played from the start and also this video that was played at the end. So I know that some of us have questions. Please let us show appreciation to Dr. Ife. I know some of us are using the chat room, but please let us also react. Right? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ife. Thank you,
So
sir.
most of them, they didn't. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. Sorry. The last post, I didn't get all this engagement. You know, the essence is like we have a global mandate. So make sure our LinkedIn post, you guys engage it. That will encourage more people to join. That's also a way of giving back. Never take without giving back. That's my policy in life. Always give back. I know Taiwo did. I thought I saw his message. Most of you go back to Essence post. Give back. Share to others. Don't hoard it. So the essence of sharing is that we want to have 200, 300 people in all over the world to join this training. So that's our goal. Go to YouTube. We're supposed to have minimum of 50 views, 70 views. Just view and leave so that the engagement can go around. Others can learn. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you. So as you have heard Dr. Ife say, please, when a link is being sent to the group, maybe for a LinkedIn post, kindly engage. Do not just view the message and ignore. And also, we were also asked to make sure the YouTube video of last week for the last class was to make 100 views. For checking today, I think we just have 62. And we are more than 100 in the group chat. So let's do better. Don't let us look at a message and just ignore. So I know that most of us have questions concerning the assignments for the last class. And so I would just say it should be uploaded on the Google Classroom. And a submission timeline will also be given for last week's assignments and for today's assignments. So when it is being uploaded on Google Classroom, a message will be sent to the WhatsApp group chat. So please, if you're not on the WhatsApp group chat, I'm sending the WhatsApp link now to the chat room. Kindly click on that link and join the group. Because it's in the group that messages should be sent concerning assignments, materials, YouTube link, and so many other things. So kindly click on the link now and join the group chats. The link is on the chat box now. So click on the link and join the WhatsApp group, please. Click on the link and join the WhatsApp group. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. We hope to see you next week, more active, more prepared, and also to stay to the end of the class. All right. So have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.